Hey nerds, we are going to do our review and breakdown of House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 2, starting now. Welcome to the Nerd Social. I am Colin.
I'm David.
I'm Paula.
We have a full crew here tonight, which is great. I did the review last week by myself. The title of Episode 2 is Rhaenyra the Cruel. And the spoiler free logline is that as Otto schemes to the public against her, Rhaenyra questions Daemon's loyalty. Meanwhile, Sir Christian Cole concocts a misguided plan for revenge. Definitely misguided. David, what are your thoughts on episode 2?
It's really improved a lot from the last season, and especially the writing and the acting, and gets straight to the point and doesn't drag on. There's more focus on the character development, despite that a lot of people are expecting, where's the action at? Well, they forgot that they should learn more about the characters, which I appreciate though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Paula, what are your thoughts? Because I think that both of you did watch it just now. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
it? Go ahead.
I liked it. With the Game of Thrones series, I would wait and binge watch them
Mm-hmm.
just because watching one episode at a time was just a bit too slow for me.
Mm-hmm.
But this one today, it was a good speed. I didn't feel like it was slow. It was very intense and straight to
Mm-hmm.
the point. Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm. I think that action in place of context is really good, but I really enjoyed a lot of, like you said, David, and to you, Paula, a lot of the slower moments and a lot of the intrigue, the politics behind it. And it's what attracted me to the first season is the politics. And we all talked about Game of Thrones being all about the political moves and who's going to sit on the Iron Throne and who's the underlings that are manipulating, who are the ones that are going to do the dirty work to serve the king or serve the queen. And I think that all that intrigue, all that chess maneuvering is always the thing that brings me to this show and why I really like this show a lot. Because there's so much of that happening in this episode, I really did enjoy it completely, and also figuring out what's going to happen next and who's going to make what move and try to predict it from a political standpoint. So, having said all that, David, what rating would you give for episode 2?
I give it an 8 because the acting and the interaction between characters was very good, and as me and Paula would agree, as long as you, Colin, that the way that they write, the way they direct it, is get straight to the point and don't drag on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I appreciate.
Okay. Paula, what was your rating?
Yeah, I would actually give it a 9
Mm-hmm.
because of that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't slow. It was a nice pace.
Yeah, definitely for me, there were a lot of surprises. There were a lot of the politics that are involved. Again, I will also agree with Paula. I'm going to give it a 9 as well because the acting was really good in some spots, and I think it would be remembered very well to a lot of the whole Game of Thrones lore. Any other thoughts before we get into spoiler territory?
Let's dive in.
Okay. If you like what we talk about with House of the Dragon and any of our other content like this, please share and subscribe for more of it. It really helps us out in the algorithm, and we're growing, and hopefully we can grow some more in our channel and also on Facebook as well as on Instagram. So, spoilers ahead. So let's get right to it with the first picture here. This is of Aegon, and we saw what happened at the end of the first episode. We didn't really get to see a lot of his rage and his grief here, and it really reminded me a lot of Kylo Ren from the Star Wars sequels. Little bit bratty, but still you can sense that there was a lot of grief and emotion because of the death of his son in such a barbaric and savage way. So I really did appreciate that the actor who plays Aegon was able to balance the brattiness and also the grief of it. And he doesn't get to Joffrey territory, but a lot of people online makes the easy comparison between the two. But I'm like, no, there's a lot more depth to Aegon, and also it redeems him a little bit from where he was in season one because he was such a drunkard. Any other thoughts about Aegon here, Paula and or David?
I'll start to make it quick. In first season, we don't see much of Aegon until a little more at the end of the season. But at the start, we get to see more of who he is
Mm-hmm.
as a character. Before he was just an idiot when we introduced him. Even Otto believed that he's not right. That even a lot of people believe that Viserys is much more better fit to be a on the throne than him. Even though he's grieving of his son's death with
Mm-hmm.
good reason. But the thing is, how he handled it, especially taking responsibility as a king, is another thing. Because right now, his rage consumed him. All he thinks about is revenge and retribution of what he's done to his son.
Which led to Otto coming up with this brilliant idea of propagandizing the whole death of his grandson and also bringing out Alicent and Helena to the forefront of the grief, putting Aegon kind of to the side, which I thought this was pretty brilliant of giving that type of grief to the people and having the people sympathize with the Hightowers. So, yeah, either one of you can jump in and about how you feel about his propaganda.
That was a tough one for me. I mean, yes, it was brilliant, but it was also cruel at the same time to have Helena sitting back there. She already doesn't seem to be someone who does well around crowds, and then putting her in that position and her son, it was hard to watch. And when the carriage got stuck, I was literally like holding my heart because
Yep, exactly.
that's a tough scene.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that Allison really held it together pretty well. She has at least more experience than Helena, whereas Helena's, I don't really want to do this at all. And we also get to see where Aegon went. Before Aegon went to see Blood here, who was captured. Larys, he's the Mr. Creeper of the whole series. Behind the scenes, manipulating, being the puppeteer. We saw him in the first episode talking in Aemon's ear about power. This guy died of a very brutal death at the hands of Aegon here. Not a very good end for him. Before he died, he revealed that one of the rat catchers was his accomplice, and we'll find out what happens to him.
I'm just gonna say that was way before he died. He was really quick to give up
Spill the beans?
the rat snatcher.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But not his name, though. We'll find out about that later on. I do want to get everyone's thought on Daemon here because there's a really great scene between Daemon and Rhaenyra rehashing season 1 and Rhaenyra basically finding out that Daemon was the one that was responsible for the death of Jacaerys here. What are your thoughts about how Daemon's going to evolve? Or is he in the right? Is he in the wrong? Is he loyal or not? I just want to hear what you have to say. Either
I
way.
say he's mixed because he is very loyal to Rhaenyra's. But the problem is he's also loyal to himself. Because like his aunt, sister, that was known as the Queen that never will be, is the same as him. But in
Mm-hmm.
his case, if he would be named I can't wait to be king, which is a reference to Lion King, he's like the a way more evil version of Scar because he never will be king. But even though his loyalty is Rhaenyra's, but I think what he did is wrong because he killed another innocent. Even Rhaenyra said of all people, Helena, they had a relationship there between the two, but she would never go that far. He would rather take on Aemon or Alicent, but not an innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But Aemon, he went unintentionally the much crueler fate, which is basically killing his nephew. So I'm like thinking, Vanessa's brought up a point. Like, do you accept me as your queen, your ruler, or am I a tool
Mm-hmm.
for your own thing? So even Damon's daughter from the first marriage says sometimes I hate him because what's there? Do they really care for them, or do they care for his own thing?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what's striking me about Damon because he's off on his own, while at the same time he's somehow conflicted and want people to be on his side. The first season, he asked his sister to fly with him to
Mm-hmm.
ask an act of revenge, but she refused because this is not.
Right.
So it's like Aegon. They both want to take revenge and retribution of some sort for their own gain.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Paula, what are your thoughts about Daemon?
This just pulled us out of daydreaming about Daemon and a reminder of who the true Daemon is. That he's not a great guy, and
Mm.
Daemon only serves Daemon,
Ah.
and probably only
oh, nice.
supports Rhaenyra because he's the king and consort.
Mm-hmm.
That's the closest that he'll get to being a king. And then if she ever dies,
Yeah.
he'll probably be king then. But other than that, he only serves himself.
Mm-hmm.
His loyalty is to himself only, and that's how he has always been. Even when Viserys' son only lived for a few hours, he was out
Mm-hmm.
talking about king for a day and
Yep.
just being happy about it in a sense.
Yeah.
He
Definitely.
couldn't wait to be king.
Yeah, definitely very conflicted individual here, and I think it speaks to a lot of the characters that are in House of Dragon that there's a lot of gray. There's no good or bad. There's a lot more bad than there is good. There's no like good characters to say, oh yeah, we can really go with that. Maybe the Sneeze, maybe Rhaenys, like they would probably like a little bit more higher above. But even for them, you could probably make an argument that, hey, they're out for power too. Daemon here, still feeling guilty about killing his nephew, Lucerys. And I think that for him, he is also a very interesting character in that he's the spare. He's not the one that's going to get to rule. And it was very interesting that we saw in the first episode, Laris came in to talk to him. Hey, maybe you should think about that. And also, just him being a very broken person because of his nephew's death, because I don't really think that he wanted to kill him. I may be wrong, but what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, he definitely did not want to kill him. He was just still hurt about being bullied as a kid and Jaceres being the reason why he lost his eye
Mm-hmm.
and never really having been punished for it.
And then we get to see Christian Cole. We talked about it during our non-recording part about how much of a snake he is, and this is where he ordered Eric with an A to go to Dragonstone to kill Rhaenyra. Just for the record, I want to hear your thoughts on Sir Christian Cole. So far, I take a more contrarian point of view about him, but have at it. Go ahead.
He's such a dick. Because when he was questioned, I don't understand why Aegon doesn't think or question a Christian Cole. What the hell? Where was he? Because basically, it's his station to watch over the queen and the children's stations. But he was never seen. And then he used Eric as a scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
Even Aaron is saying, "What the hell are you doing? I was with King Aegon the whole time.
Yeah.
Why are you putting me to blame?"
Yeah.
And he rightfully questioned Christian Cole, saying, "Where were you?" And then Christian Cole looks like he's seen a ghost, and like his face turned white. He tried to immediately thought of an idea to do something to get out of the blame for this whole thing. And then he got the idea of saying, "You brought this down to us, and you had to do something." And even Eric is like, "What the hell?" But he's still thinking in his head, "Why the hell I had to do it?"
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can't stand him. He just keeps getting worse and worse. And I think with this one, I just lost hope for him.
Uh-oh.
Up until this one episode, I had a slimmer of hope. But with this one, I really don't. And I feel like he sees himself or thinks of himself as one man, a man with honor
Mm-hmm.
and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
But yet his actions don't reflect that. And then when he's faced with his actions, instead of really facing them and deal with them and do better, he puts the blame on someone else or projects.
Mm. Good psychological character study there, Paula. Really good. I agree with the both of you, but to take a contrarian point of view, I think that he got really messed up because Rhaenyra rejected him, and I think that he was very honorable during that time. There's a lot of love for Rhaenyra online, and I do love Rhaenyra as well, but there's a lot of manipulation there that we gloss over with Rhaenyra, and I think that Christian was one of the victims of it. Doesn't excuse him for what he's doing now, but I think that he is damaged, and that's why in this scene he really wanted to have his revenge against her because of what happened to him. We also get to see Mysaria here, who was Daemon's mistress in season 1, and Rhaenyra granting her freedom after Mysaria was giving Rhaenyra information and also being hopefully truthful to Rhaenyra about Daemon and all the dealings that she has been going through. And also I think that there's some sympathy from Rhaenyra as a woman, just saying you really have had a crappy life maybe we should just let you go. So it was very interesting to see that scene, but also a very interesting scene where she was the one who discovered Eric with an A was in Dragonstone. It was very subtle, but we knew that she saw that there was something suspicious. So it was very interesting. We see that Rhaenyra, I think that she felt that the walls were closing in. It felt from when I was watching, she felt that she's going to get killed somehow. Maybe I'm wrong, but what are your thoughts about how Rhaenyra acted and behaved during this whole scene? This and then also when the two twins came in.
In a short amount of time, she still have a lot to process. One, he just buried the ashes of his dead son, and now she has a nephew that just got killed who was innocent, and she's still grieving about it. While at the same time, she's thinking about how to reclaim her throne, how to control everyone in her council, and even control Daemon, for God's sake. So she has a lot coming in. As you said, the walls are closing in, and then he feels that the pressures of being a queen, even though trying to reclaim the title that was rightfully hers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot on her, and she's right now dazed. She's trying to stay strong and keep herself together. At the same time, in her head, she's what is going on here?
Yeah, definitely. Paula, what were your thoughts about Rhaenyra?
Yeah, so right here, I don't think she was thinking about her dying at all. I just think that she was just processing everything. She just lost her son, she lost her nephew too, and war is coming. War is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
She's just taking all of that, and it's just a sad position to be in.
Do you think, and either way you can answer this, that it's because also it wears on her that Daemon is not disloyal, but trickster?
Yeah, because they
Yeah,
can be unpredictable. She did tell him, I never trusted you. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to. I thought I did, but I never did. And it's terrible living with someone that you cannot trust.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially like walking on eggshell, always thinking, trying to plan every move or foresee, right?
Right.
So,
yeah. Even
cool.
even back to the point here, like even though near the end of season one, that she always fell in love with Daemon. But the thing is, she said before, but during the conversation between Rhaenyra and Daemon, even she said, I was young, I don't have my many challenges, but now I have so many challenges here, and now I'm like wondering who is there to really by my side
Mm-hmm.
and find for me,
Mm-hmm.
not
Yeah.
find with me, which is what Daemon's doing right now. She's like saying, I already have enough to find against Alicent and her children.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's to find within her own council and with her own husband, which is as Paula says, what am I to think about Damon?
So she is probably feeling extremely lonely at that moment.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay. Speaking of loneliness, these two men, the twins, are definitely lonely, and the big action scene that was near the end was between these two, and heartbreaking as well. I just want to hear your thoughts about the whole action scene, how it was set up, how it was very intense and very sad as well in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's just so sad that two brothers, twins, just found themselves at the opposite end
Mm-hmm.
and believed in their cause so much that they were willing to kill the other
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Yeah.
So it was interesting and hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a train wreck that you don't want to watch, but you can't take your eyes off of.
Good point. Yes, very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of House of Dragon, also Game of Thrones, is these type of moments where it's heart wrenching. You said, Paula, earlier about the funeral that it really gave you that levity of it, and the pressure of it is so intense. The previous scene with Rhaenyra, so intense, definitely very heartbreaking in a lot of ways. This screenshot is actually from the first episode, but is of Cheese, the other conspirator, and Aegon found out that it was a rat catcher and he was a rat catcher. So he basically hanged all the rat catchers in King's Landing. And Otto was not very happy about that. Otto was incensed, and to the point where Aegon was like, "No, you should just resign as the hand. I'm firing you," and basically gave the hand responsibilities to Sir Christian Cole, our favorite character. And one type of action leads to a lot of consequences later on. And I thought that was really brilliant. What are your thoughts about the consequences of his slaying here?
I'd say it's right, like desperately trying to put Aemon know what he must be doing,
Mm-hmm.
which is like protocol and rituals and procedures, what a king should be doing in times like
Right.
this. And what they need is the people's support. Aegon did it right up until this point, which is killing all the rat catchers. He should be killing one rat catcher, not kill a bunch of innocents. So basically, he wiped out and made the people wondering, why do you do this? You just thrown everything we've done to gain more support, and now you've thrown it all out. But now Aegon is just, I don't care. I just want revenge. And he wants to have someone that can agree with him and go along this revenge crusade.
Okay.
Paula?
Yeah.
That's probably the first time, the only time so far that I've agreed with Otto. Aegon's plan was just really reckless and essentially diminished the body of his dead son being paraded throughout
Mm-hmm.
town. The whole point of that was to gain support, and
Right.
he just threw that away by hanging all those rat catchers because now they are going to lose
Mm-hmm.
the support that they worked so hard for.
Yeah. Do you think that the people in King's Landing would they think of him as a stronger character, or just out of fear that oh he's a loose cannon, or do you think that he'll have less support because of what transpired?
Fear does not translate to support,
Okay.
right? Fear, yeah, you're gonna go along because you are scared until someone is able to free you from that fear,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go against whoever you're scared of. So no, I think if anything, he's just going to be seen as a child, a king who just cannot control his anger and who doesn't know what he is doing. Odo was right.
Mm-hmm.
This is war, and we have to be planning for the long term. We have to do things with tact. The
Mm-hmm.
people are the one who support the crown, so you don't want to lose that.
This is also very heartbreaking. This is what I mentioned before about how there's a lot of layers to Aegon. It's not just he's a brat, he's vengeful. There's a lot of grief that's layered upon that. And he's also a young king, and the fact that he is perceived as weak. So heavy lies the crown in a lot of ways. And he's just giving a lot of his grief out there in his most private moment. And the fact that his mother just said, hey, see you later. You know?
That was so disappointing.
Yeah.
I was expecting her to hug him or, share some wise words with him.
Rhaenyra did that with her son. Remember back in episode
Yeah,
1.
Yes.
Not Alicent, though. So.
yeah.
No, but Allison is more about power, and then she has this high hopes that Aegon could be that person, but nope, he's a weakling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I also like how the episode started with Aegon looking for his son, and you see how happy he is. You can see how much he loves him. And it ends with this him just bawling, crying,
Mm-hmm.
falling apart for his son.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
But I think that also, like, his daughter's still alive, but he probably doesn't see it that way. I think that he sees it as though as a male line of succession, probably. So basically, she decided to go back to her room. Christian is there. She slaps him 4 times, and then they get it on, just like they did in the first episode twice. And I said before we recorded that Allison is also a very broken person. She was thrusted into a position where she did not want to be at by marrying the king at the advice of her father. And so throughout this, she has had to play the role, be the dutiful mother, queen, but reluctantly. And also, she still has these feelings that, oh shoot, we should really forgive and forget with Rhaenyra. She sent a letter, no response. She prayed for Lucerys with the candles in episode 1. And it's so easy to just say, oh yeah, she's bad, or Team Green is bad. But there are layers to that. And what are your thoughts about Alicent so far in this episode and also overall in the second season, or going back to season 1?
Overall, I I actually don't hate her. I see her as a victim.
Mm,
Because, like you said, she was just thrusted into this position. She did not want it. She wanted to remain friends with her best friend, Rhaenyra. And I just feel like she doesn't know who she is because she has had to just follow what her dad has been telling her to do and then follow her husband. So she doesn't know who she is. Even her putting Aegon on the throne didn't really come from her. That came from Viserys dying and then speaking the name of Aegon. And
right,
she just took it as if he wanted him to be on the throne.
right.
From her point of view, she's just doing her husband's wishes.
Mm, mm,
Supposed wishes, basically.
But
Mm.
that is why I said from her perspective,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's just again a very complicated character. We can't always try to do a dichotomy of who's good or who's bad, and I think that it's a very good reflection of how these characters are very complex and well developed, and it speaks to the quality of the show because of it. The last two shots that I have is actually of this peasant. I think his name's Hugh. And I think that there's going to be more setup about Hugh. Who knows what side he's going to be on? He was one of the ones that was pleading to Aegon to have more resources. We get to find out that their daughter is sick. So we'll figure it out what will transpire in later episodes. There's a lot of crumbs that are being laid here.
Something just came to my mind. Him and his crew, they make the weapon the Scorpio. So I think he's going to play a huge role in this war. And I think it's going to be a great asset to have for either team.
Yeah. Speaking of assets, we have
Alan.
Alan of Hull. He was the one on the right. He's the one that saved the sea snake Corlys Valerian in battle. And his brother's actually
Alan.
approaching him about you should be more aligned with Corlys. Alan's kind of, no, I'm good. I did my job and being the dutiful soldier. Whereas his brother's thinking of it more broadly, big picture. Like you can be of more influence because you saved the sea snake. So again, more crumbs to be had here with this situation. And one last thing before we wrap up is we did have an interaction with Corlys and Rhaenys in this episode. And so what do you think is going to happen with those two? Because those two have always been the ones that are lurking. And as I said before, they're like above the fray in a lot of ways. So what do you think is going to happen with those guys? Because they also have granddaughters because through Daemon, and unfortunately one of their sons died, but they have a house. What do you think is going to happen with House Valerian?
I admire these two a lot because they both want to do the right way. And I admired Bernice a lot though because Bernice is like one of the few people she can really trust because not only she's her aunt, but also one of her most trusted ally because she is the closest thing to her mother ever since her own mother died.
Right.
Bernice accepted she won't be queen, but
Mm-hmm.
she would do what she can for the love of her niece, that's for sure. Or her husband, on the other hand, he's not plotting anything to betray Rhaenyra. He's just daydreaming what higher position that they are right now. Their children have Targaryen blood. They could have been a higher power already because their first son is disappeared right now. They're making everyone think he's dead.
And also,
Well,
second daughter
that's right.
died. Yep. Yeah. The one that
Yeah,
was supposed to marry Viserys when she was like
Viserys. Yeah.
12. Yeah. Paula, what do you think of House Valerian? Are they in position to try to regain power, or do you think that they're going to be loyal to her?
Oh no, I don't think so. I think Rhaenyra can fully trust them. I think they are content with where they are.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I would have to tell you that Rhaenys had a chance to kill them back in the
she
last. Yep,
did.
yep. She
She
held
decided
restraint.
what.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but Vanessa knows herself. The thing that I love about the Vanessa, she thinks ahead and thinks what the consequences could be.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like her. She sounds calculative, but for good reason.
Right.
What would happen to herself? What would happen to her own family and her own children? And she's thinking about, would this make me a good queen or seen as it though? But right now, I feel like she is Rhaenyra's strongest ally
Mm-hmm.
above Daemon, basically.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see what those side characters are going to be like because, again, Blood and Sheep's a big character in the first episode and also the second episode. They're dead. So we'll see how these side characters or secondary characters come into play. Laris as well. You know, how is he going to come into play in terms of manipulating the throne? So, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I have a question for you guys. Why do you think Helena didn't lie when they asked her which one of her kids was the boy?
Hmm.
I really thought she was gonna lie.
No, she ended up telling the truth. Even Cheese was shocked too. Cheese thought that she would save the son because he's the heir.
Yeah.
But instead, she saved the daughter, which I'm like, what?
Hmm. I think there's still some dislike, some tension. I saw the inside the House of Dragon at the end, right? And they say that there's some sheer grief. But I do think that there's some resentment of power. She doesn't want to be in this position at all. She doesn't want to be in the position of being a queen and have all the regalness, and she doesn't want Aegon to be a part of this. My guess is that she chose the son because she doesn't want to deal with this stuff anymore. Because that's how I sensed when I saw some of their interactions, like in episode one, with she was complaining about the rats, and she was like so disgusted by it, and then Aegon's just like, I don't care, yeah, whatever. And they're like, yeah, bring my son to the council. And it's, in some ways, I think that she got turned off by that. And maybe because of that, she decided, I'm going to choose my son to die. And she had no choice in some ways. Go ahead.
It was very reminiscent of Sophie's Choice. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So that's what we think about House of the Dragon, episode 2. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this episode or House of Dragon overall, season 1 and episode 1. So please comment down below. Like, share, subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you in the next video. All right, have a good one, everybody.